So grew up in like northeastern Pennsylvania, and it was like there was like nothing to do. So when you're, 12 or whatever, you're like, what do we do for entertainment? You do a lot of walking around. And we would walk around in like my friend Jake's neighborhood, and he lived in this really like bougie neighborhood, like Mad Woods. We just go on little adventures, whatever. And it was four of us. It was me, Megan, Jake, and Brian. And we'd walk through the woods up onto the train tracks, and, we're just walking along the train tracks, hanging out, vibing, whatever, telling stories, cracking jokes, all that jazz. And throughout our whole experience, Brian has been behind us being like, I hear the train, guys, when the train comes, all this stuff. And we're like, Brian, shut up. Because you're putting negative energy into the space. Like, we're just hanging out. We need to make this an anxious situation. And so we sort of split off into two groups. And it's me and Jake walking in front, and Megan is walking with Brian now. And the whole time, she's talking to him, I'm talking to Jake. And every few minutes, he's like, the train. I'm like, shut up. So there's a certain point where you're not allowed to walk next to the tracks anymore, because if a train comes, it's actually dangerous. So we walk past it anyway because we're 12 and invincible. And we're walking for a little bit, and we've all just kind of we're all just walking in total silence now. And Brian goes, guys, I heard the train. And I turn around, and now I'm actually aggravated. And I'm like, Brian, shut up. And at the same time, I'm starting to chew him out. I hear the train. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I turn around, and the train, to look at where the train is coming from, and it is barreling at us. I said, fuck. So I sprint off into the woods, and I hear footsteps behind me, so I know that people are following me. I get into the woods, I hurl my stupid 12-year-old body into a bush. I'm now bleeding and covered in thorns and shit, and I peek my head out of the bush to do, I'm calling roll. I'm making sure that we didn't all die. I see Jake standing at the edge of the woods, maybe 10 feet away from me, far too close to the tracks, and he's waving, and he's like, hi, train, and we're all like, Jake! So I sprint out of this bush, and I grab him by the shirt collar and rip him into the woods with me, and I'm like, you can't, we're not trying to die out here. So the train passes, we're all catching our breath and trying to breathe and kind of gauging, we were all 12 and almost died. And we all get up, and everyone assesses the damages. I am bleeding. Somebody else fell and cut their knee, whatever. And we're walking through the woods to go back to the house, and no one really said anything that was don't tell your parents. But we all kind of had, nobody tell your parents. So a few years ago, I never told my mom. A few years ago, I thought that I had brought it up at some point. I was 17, and I was like, oh, blah blah blah. Yeah, that time I got hit by or almost got hit by the train, and my mom starts freaking out, and she's like, what are you talking about? So I tell her what happened, and she was retroactively so angry with me. I was like, oh, it was 5 years ago, I'm not dead. And then after we had our near-death experience, the boys were just throwing broken glass. So it's maybe this isn't the friend group for me. So starting 7th grade, I had a whole new set of friends who didn't want to die by train death. Yeah, good shit. Fun stuff. She was so, Mom was literally, I've never seen that woman that bad before. I was like, girl, what? You never had a near-death experience? You never almost lost your life doing some dummy stuff? Because, that's what I do to feel alive. I stand by that.